Let's get right to our strategy session. Joining us are two CNN political contributors, the Democratic strategist, Donna Brazile, and the Republican strategist, Mary Matalin. They're both here in Washington, D.C. Guys, thanks very much for coming in. Let's talk a little bit about this whole debate over torture, enhanced interrogation techniques, whether they didn't help in the whole effort. I don't know if you saw John McCain's latest piece. He himself was tortured, as all of us remember, in Vietnam. He says the United States is different. We should never be engaged in torture. And even if some useful information came out, it's a stain on the United States. You worked for Dick Cheney when he was vice president. He supported these enhanced interrogation techniques. Where do you stand?
So Senator McCain has a very credible position here, but what the enhanced interrogation techniques are bear no resemblance whatsoever to what he was subjected to. They were limited and they were very effective. Of the thousands of combatants caught, fewer than 100 of them were in the program, and fewer than a third of them were subjected to these techniques, which were effective. Within a couple of years, they had given us fully 50% of everything we knew about Al-Qaeda. So this is not an open question. They were limited, they were completely in individual cases authorized by the CIA director.
You support that?
Three people were waterboarded, and if that's torture, then we torture our own elite corps because they go through that same regimen.
So you disagree with McCain?
I do, respectfully.
Here's what Leon Panetta, the CIA director, said the other day on this whole day. He took a sort of a nuanced position. Listen to what he said.
I think some of the detainees clearly were, they used these enhanced interrogation techniques against some of these detainees. But I'm also saying that, the debate about whether we would have gotten the same information through other approaches, I think is always going to be an open question.
Because he said the techniques did help in getting some of that information, but as you also heard him say, maybe other means would have been useful as well.
Well, look, I think it was just good old-fashioned intelligence work. The grit and determination, not just of the president, but our men and women in uniform. And yes, we know that this technique was used. I don't think we should use it. I'm against torture. I agree with Senator John McCain. Khalid Sheikh Mohammed was tortured 183 times. He produced...
He was
waterboarded. 183 times. He produced a couple of aliases, but most of the information he gave us was bad information. And even the information he gave us on bin Laden's courier, it wasn't his name, and it took us 8 years to even track down that information. So I don't think it has any place, any value for our intelligence work. And here's the one thing, Wolf. Torture is helping Al-Qaeda recruit people. We don't need that.
It is. Can I just make this point that these techniques are not used to get information, they're used to get cooperation. And once they get the cooperation, then they're a sieve. They have produced any manner of information, including leading us to UBL. So they're completely effective, and they're only rendered when other forms are resisted. So this is not the first, and it's not, and they're not limitless. They're very selective and not used very often, and only in resistance to others.
But it's not who we are as a country. It's not part of who we are. We should not lower our standards at all to defeat the Al-Qaeda. And it was not a shortcut to get UBL.
So that's the McCain position. You guys disagree on that. It's interesting. You agree with the Republican presidential nominee last time around. You disagree with the Republican presidential nominee from last time around.
We both like McCain.
Yeah, we both.
He's been very consistent. Some other issues, he's changed his attitude. But on this issue, he's been very, very consistent. Let's